Welcome to Washington Unplugged. I'm Nancy Cordes. President Obama and First Lady Michelle Obama hosted their first state dinner last night in honor of Indian Prime Minister Manmohan Singh and his wife. Celebrities, journalists, and politicians mingled in a gorgeous tent on the White House lawn. And covering the affair for Politico is Schroeder and Gavin, who are here with me this morning to dish. And what are the chances that all three of our invitations would get lost in the mail?
I know.
It's very upsetting.
How does that happen? This White House is usually so
Those darn
organized.
Evites, you know?
Well, a D.C. housewife gets invited, an alleged D.C. housewife gets invited, and we don't.
But we're not, we're not bitter or anything.
I'm not.
No.
So these state dinners are pretty rare, and especially with the first state dinner, it's usually a way for the first couple to kind of assert their styles. What did we learn last night about the style of Barack and Michelle Obama, and how it compares maybe to the style of President Bush?
Well, I think one thing that's interesting is that they want a larger than usual state dinner. President Bush held the one 2005 indoors, which limits you to about 150 guests or so. But he wanted 320 guests, which is why they had to construct that huge pavilion on the South Lawn. So I think the first thing we realized is that most likely state dinners going forward, depending on the delegation of the visiting country, will probably be on the South Lawn in a tent.
So literally, they like a big tent.
They like a big tent.
Right.
Let's talk about the guest list a little bit, because obviously this is the hottest ticket in town, and it's often a way to see kind of who's in and who's out with the White House. So what did we learn?
We learned that Obama loves Hollywood and Hollywood loves Obama. Steven Spielberg, David Geffen, Jeffrey Katzenberg, the three Hollywood big moguls. Then there's Alfre Woodard, and she took Blair Underwood as her date, which was really funny. They're not an item, right? They're really good friends. They invited Bollywood superstars, sort of like the Angelina and Brad of Bollywood. They invited the India's third richest man. Interestingly, though, no athletes were invited, and no Supreme Court justices were invited.
And no Oprah.
And Oprah was not there.
Gayle King was there in her place, and apparently we learned this morning that Oprah will be visiting the White House in December, so perhaps that's her consolation prize.
No Caroline Kennedy?
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
I mean, they sort of are saying there's a new game in town, and here's who we're inviting, and these are our people, right? Washington has a very old school list of who should always be invited, and I think the Obamas respect that, but say we're going to do it this way.
And obviously they invited some potential political foes, such as Governor Bobby Jindal of Louisiana, who's rumored to run in 2012, and that's because they were looking to invite prominent Indians of American descent, since they were honoring the Indian Prime Minister at the state dinner.
Also, it makes it bipartisan.
Exactly, and I noticed that even the china was bipartisan.
It was.
None of these details mean nothing. They're all very specifically planned, and they had china from the Eisenhower administration and the Clinton administration and the Bush administration.
Right. It's interesting. It's almost as interesting to look at who doesn't get invited as who does get invited. Ben Nelson, who's been huge on the healthcare debate, and they need his vote, not invited. Eric Cantor from the Republican side in the House, not invited. Harry Reid and John Boehner were invited, and as was Bill Clinton, but they had previous obligations.
What else could
what
they
obligation
have
beats a state dinner? I don't know.
Maybe they're
Thanksgiving's
in
a
their
big
home
deal,
district,
but,
I guess.
Right.
Looking for votes. I know Harry Reid especially is looking for votes right now. And because every detail is planned, one detail that I thought was very interesting was who the Obamas chose to sit at their head table. And it couldn't have been an accident that David Geffen, as you mentioned, was there at the head table with his gay partner.
Yes.
Well, what's interesting is we were talking to Anita McBride and Ann Stock yesterday, who were involved in the state dinners in the Bush and Clinton administrations. And what's interesting is that all these tables have their own host, right? So Barack and Michelle don't sit next to each other because they see each other all the time. So Barack is the host of his table, Michelle is the host of her table, John Kerry is the host of the table, Hillary Clinton is the host. And by host, what they mean is that you're the person that's supposed to get business done at this table, because that's really what these state dinners are about, is making connections happen and improving relations. So everybody has sort of a designated liaison to advance the Obama administration's message or advance India's message. So obviously Barack Obama is probably the best host you'd probably want to have, but Michelle would be a close second.
But don't you think that because the president has run into some trouble with the gay community, which feels that he has not been advancing their priorities enough, that he would choose not to put Steven Spielberg at his head table, not to put Jeffrey Katzenberg or any of the other luminaries who were there, but to put David Geffen and his partner there?
It's a win-win for him, though, right? I mean, David Geffen is a huge Obama supporter. He has a lot to offer. Part of these state dinners are inviting your supporters and saying, please come join me. And of course, it sends a great message and it makes everyone happy. Why not?
Exactly. Okay, now let's talk about the dress, because Michelle
Obama
awesome. Was smoking smoking hot.
Yes,
I don't know if you're
absolutely.
supposed to say that about a first lady, but
She was very sophisticatedly smoking
yeah, she
hot.
was sophisticated. It was a knockout dress. She was
Right.
wearing a strapless,
Gold.
sequined gown by Naeem Khan, who is, of course, a designer of Indian descent,
Yes.
and has dressed all of the stars, and she looked great.
She really, I think, looked hands down the best of
There were,
everyone
however,
there.
though, some people, and I know nothing about dresses, obviously. She looked great, but there were some people in our newsroom, some fashionistas, who thought that you don't wear a strapless at a state dinner. Now, I don't know what the protocol is on that, but there are a couple who thought that at a state dinner
think-
you have to wear straps. We'll leave that to the
They're
judges.
being a little fuddy-duddy.
don't
Jackie Kennedy
know.
certainly wore strapless dresses at
Right.
state dinners.
I think
but
you wear what looks good on
Exactly.
you. And strapless dinners.
She did look great.
Strapless dresses look great on her. Okay, who else made the best dress list? Since this is our closest thing that we get in Washington to an Oscar
Patrick,
night.
you have an idea of who you thought was the best dress?
I think on the guy side, Mayor Michael Bloomberg looked pretty good, mostly because he went out there with a red bow tie, which I think matched his red cummerbund. So I think on the guy side, I would give him. I mean, because on the guy's side, it's very unoriginal and creative. It's tuxes, right? So for that, I think he did the most perhaps radical thing you could do by slapping on a red bow tie.
Okay.
I
but
thought his
who's good?
girlfriend looked amazing. She really looked great. But you know who looked really great? Katie Couric.
Oh, Katie Couric looked fabulous.
She wore this wonderful blue dress with like blue accent. I mean, she looked amazing.
But of course, she always looks gorgeous, doesn't she?
Right.
Yes.
Gosh,
the
my
CBS
boss has
way.
a great sense of style. No, but seriously, and I noticed that she had sort of an Indian accent with
Yes.
the wrap that she was wearing. And we saw a lot of saris as kind of a nod to the theme of the evening.
Well, Samanti Stevens is a First Lady staff, and she just got married, and she's of Indian descent, and she wore her wedding sari. So that was sort of like maybe the best Indian themed attire, aside from the Prime Minister's wife.
And because we don't have stylists here in Washington, you know, everybody doesn't have a makeup artist like Hollywood. I think it's a little mean to do like a worst dressed list from this
know.
state dinner. There wasn't anybody who was really
Well,
whacked out, was
a
there?
couple. Some people thought that Social Secretary Desiree Rogers, I wouldn't even know how to describe it. I don't have that fashion lingo, but certainly can find pictures online. She wore a very interesting outfit, which I think, again, people will look at the pictures and assess. And then Michigan Governor Jennifer Granholm wore pants. That is, again, in some circles considered a faux pas. Martha Stewart wore pants in 1999 and got a lot of flack from the Washington Post critic Robin Gavin. Jennifer Granholm wasn't the only one to wear pants last night. There were a couple others, but it is quite rare. So it'll be interesting to see if people think that she deserves to be slapped on the wrist for that.
On the guy side, I have to throw this out there. Senator Bob Casey, Democrat from Pennsylvania, his cummerbund fell all the way down to the floor when he was walking.
When he was walking in?
According to pool reports there. So maybe he could sort of get a worse dress.
Right.
Just for a momentary
Wardrobe
slip up.
malfunction.
Right.
Right.
All right.
You
well,
never hear about that with men.
I know. It's kind of nice, actually.
Right.
Well, this has been so much fun, you guys. Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for
Thank
coming
you.
in
Appreciate
this
it.
morning to Dish. And I'm sure I'll see you all at the next state dinner
Definitely.
next year. We'll
We'll
all
get
be
one.
there. Yeah, we're looking for our invite, guys. All right, Ann Schroeder, Patrick Gavin from Politico, thank you so much. And thanks for watching Washington Unplugged on this rainy Wednesday here in Washington before Thanksgiving. Have a great holiday, travel safe, and watch the evening news with Katie Couric tonight to uncover a big Thanksgiving myth. See you next Monday at cbsnews.com.